Yeah, we're looking forward to getting back on the foot at home in front of our fans Saturday for homecoming against Southern Miss. Our players were hurting after another close loss on the road versus Old Dominion. We put that to bed yesterday, and all our focus is on Southern Miss. And we have a tight knit group in that locker room, and we're committed to getting better as coaches, staff, and players. And we're doing everything we can to go have a successful Saturday against Southern Miss.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate that. As a reminder to our members of the media, if you have a question, just go into reactions and raise your hand. We'll be happy to call on you. We'll start off with Alvaro Torres. Alvaro?
Hi, Coach Clark. I hope you're having a great day. Well, all four of your losses have been by one possession. Is there something you feel like you can do better in end-of-game situations moving forward in order to come out on top in this kind of close games?
Yeah, we like to not be in that situation, but I think really our players are playing their tails off right now and give us a chance to win. And we have to do better, all of us, to do that. We've had our chances, and again, we just have to do better in all phases of the game. But again, I like our team. Our team was they're competitors. They're close. They fight to the very end, and that's what you ask for. If it was guys were giving up, it'd be a totally different story. But no, our kids are playing their tails off, and good things are going to come to this team this season.
Go over to Sam. Sam?
Coach, Kinne Roberts saw kind of his first key action for you guys, had a great performance. What did you kind of see out of him, and where were you kind of expecting going into the game?
Well, that's what we expect from Kinne, and Kanye's in a really good place right now in all facets of his life. His grades are outstanding. He's a great kid. He comes to work every single day, and it was not a surprise to us to see him have so much success, and we look forward to seeing more of that in the future.
And then you talked about, team kind of performing under pressure and continuing to fight. Had a lot of success on fourth down this past week. What do you think that comes down to as a team?
What part you mean, a fourth down or just?
Yeah, just finding success on fourth down when your back's against the wall.
Well, that's what we do. I mean, they give you four downs for a reason, and our kids are trained to know in those situations we're going to go for it because touchdowns matter. If we kick field goals in those situations, and it's not this kind of a game. It wouldn't be close. So our kids know we get in that situation, we're going to do it. We have confidence in our defense if something happens to hold them, and we'll continue to do that.
We'll go over to Hank with the Associated Press. Hank?
Hey, Coach, this is several years in a row that the league has had a team get into the top 25. What does that do for you guys?
It gives us national exposure. And this is a great conference. Commissioner Gill's done a great job putting together a fantastic conference, and just shows our strength as a conference can go play and be successful. There's no it's not a surprise that we have our teams in the top 25, and we'll continue to get more.
Thank you.
All right, and seeing nothing else, Coach, thank you for your time. We appreciate it. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was a great win, hard fought win on the road. Just keeps showing the equal playing fields in our conference, man. Every team's a good team, in regard to Grayson, Grayson right now is probably doubtful. He's continually being evaluated day to day. We'll know more as the week progresses.
Thank you, Coach. We'll start off with Luke Creasy. Luke?
Hey, Coach. Obviously, Travis Trickett comes from a long family of football. Just what has he meant to the Coastal program, having come in and helping run the offense? Obviously, his brother here at Marshall.
Yeah, I mean, I love Travis. He's done a tremendous job running the offense. He brings a lot of juice, energy, creative ideas, innovation. And the guys, like I've said a lot in these conferences, we're figuring them out, they're figuring us out, and I feel like we're starting to mesh a little bit. And so and you're starting to see that on the field in terms of our productivity and our consistency. So it's great having him here. He's a great family guy. Players love him. They love being around him. Really very fortunate to have him.
And if I can follow up real quick, what have you seen from Clint's offense with the Herd?
I haven't watched quite as much of them offensively just yet. I usually get to that in the afternoons today, but just seeing them, with ties that I've had and watching him in the past. Does a great job. He's another, I mean, just they come from a great line, you know, from his dad and just growing up in football. And there's something to be said about that. It's who you are. It's in your bloodstream. And both those guys are tremendous coaches and very high reputations and great work ethic. And so it pays off. You see that when the way they play and how their guys execute.
We'll go over to Alvaro Torres.
Hi, Coach Beck. Well, I hope you're having a great day. Well, you talk about a little about Grayson. Well, how is he and how the team responded to his injury, and how much would you say this has affected them?
He's in Grayson's in great spirits. He's home. He got home last night, probably 1 o'clock in the morning, from Jonesboro, as they kept him for observation. But he's doing good. You know, our team, anytime you lose a teammate, you know, first of all, just a teammate always hurts your team, but to lose a guy that's meant so much to them, this program, you know, sometimes it stings a little bit more. At the end of the day, it's all of us. You know, we're all in this thing together, and it's going to take all of us to continue winning. And we hope Grayson continues to be a part of that. And we'll, again, like I mentioned, we'll know more as the week goes on. But, you know, nobody's ever happy, but when you lose a guy, and especially a guy like Grayson, but I think they also realize, like, it is part of the sport and they got to move on.
Go over to Alan Blondin. Alan?
Hey, Coach. Is Grayson in concussion protocol, and is that the primary thing that would keep him from playing?
No, he's not.
So he didn't have a concussion from that incident?
I believe medically, no.
Okay. And now that you've had a chance to see the hit on tape, do you consider it to be egregious or more egregious than you might have thought before you had seen it on tape?
There's a lot of gray area in targeting. And I know things happen fast. I just don't understand. I don't understand it. That's all. I'll just kind of leave it at that. I don't really understand the penalty. If we're going to enforce a penalty and have a call for penalty, then how are we not enforcing it? I see it happen in the Alabama game on a blocked field goal. They're running and the guy's 10 yards behind, and he pushed him from the side and he fell down, and he blocked a defenseless player. He was running next to the guy. Like, our quarterback's sliding, giving himself up. Like, if that's not defensive, I mean, we lose 2 yards because where he starts to slide, he's giving himself up. And this is not just our quarterback, it's all quarterbacks. They start to slide, they lose 2 yards from where the ball is because it's considered he was giving himself up. But yeah, we could hit him. Like, I don't understand the rulings behind all this. But I don't call the game. I just coach it.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, Alan. We'll go over to Billy. Billy?
Hey, Coach. You had over 180 rushing yards this weekend. How important was it for you guys to get back to the run game?
Yeah, I think in the last couple of games, we realized that. You know, we talked about being on the road. You got to run the football. You got to stop the run. And I think our guys took heart to that. It's created opportunities for some big plays for us. And we've been fortunate to execute them. So, you know, it's obviously it's a big part. When you can do that, you can control the tempo of the game.
And one more, Coach. How do you look? What's the scheme looking like, this weekend for Marshall in that regard?
Yeah, they're an excellent defensive football team. Really good up front, defensive line. They run to the ball well. They tackle well coached. It's going to be a dogfight.
Alan, do you have a follow-up? Okay, we'll go over to Sam. We got time for one more.
Coach, how important is it to have another veteran quarterback like Jared Guest in the program, in that quarterback room, especially now with Grayson's injury?
Yeah, no doubt. Jared's, you know, this isn't his first song and dance, even with Grayson going down well before I was here, and also having Ethan Vasco, you know, a veteran guy who transferred in from the University of Kansas, and who's played some football games. So the room is definitely in strong hands if we need to get to that. Yeah.
Thanks, Coach.
All right. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Really good win against Marshall on the road. Really good football team on a national stage. First time this program's ever beat Marshall. Haven't played very often, but it's been a long time ago. Had some tremendous individual and unit performances in that game. Our punt team. I mean, Marshall's first 3 possessions in the first quarter, their only 3, all started at the 1-yard line. And their average drive start in the second quarter was a -14, and average drive start in the fourth was -7. So Ryan Hansen had 7 punts, 6 inside the 10. The other was on the 11. So defensively, we shut them out. They did not score on our defense. We had 8 sacks, and really stepped up in the third quarter when Marshall was starting to gain some momentum. Came up with 2 big turnovers, which led to sort of an offensive spurt where we scored 3 times in succession, 17 points to go up 20-2. So good win, and looking forward to homecoming this week, Old Dominion. A very much improved football team. Coach is doing a great job there. They've won 4 out of their last 6 games, with their 2 losses coming to Wake Forest by 3 points, a game they led most of the way. And at Marshall, where they've got the ball at the end to win, but couldn't get it done. So they've got a very explosive offense. It's a new offense, spread you out all over the field. Running backs averaging 11 yards a carry. They got 3 receivers averaging over 20 yards a catch, 1 averaging over 30 yards a catch. And they're dangerous. And defensively, it's a scheme you don't see every day, so it takes a little longer to prepare for. So be a tremendous challenge. Really focused in on that. We've had a few days off. We'll see our players tonight for the first time since the Marshall game, and we got to get back in the groove and get the mindset sharpened up and honed up in our preparation for Old Dominion.
We'll start off with Mike Barber. Mike.
Morning, Curt. Inside in the middle of that defense for them, 42, Jason Henderson, obviously a tremendously productive player. He seems like a guy who actually tackles old school as opposed to trying to hit all the time. What do you see from him on film?
A really good player. I mean, we recruited him out of high school. I really liked him coming out of high school. And he's had a great career at Old Dominion. You know, his tackle numbers are incredible. And I mean, he plays the game with a lot of passion, a lot of heart. He's got great instinct, can really run. And, you know, he diagnoses things quickly, and he's always in the right spot.
Is that scheme designed to funnel things into him, or is he a guy who goes and kind of hunts his tackles?
Well, you know, they've got him in a position in that defense where he's got an opportunity to potentially make a lot of tackles. But he makes that many tackles because he's a really good football player.
Great. Thank you.
Welcome.
We'll go to Hank. Please go ahead, Hank.
Hey, Coach, not to bring up a bad thing. Congratulations on making back in the top 25. I think the last time you guys made it, you kind of had a little slide after that. What did you learn from that? And, you know, how might you approach being ranked differently with these guys than you did in 22?
Well, you know, I think when we last season, when we were ranked and then went down to Georgia Southern, there was a lot of hoopla around here. We crossed that bridge a little bit when we played them last time because we were 5-0 again, the same matchup, and I thought we handled it much better. This team has learned the lessons from the past. It's very mature. One thing I'll say about this team is they have been extremely focused day in, day out, and played with great effort and energy every Saturday. So, you know, we've had a couple days to sort of enjoy the Marshall win, and a few of them got on social media, you know, with all that stuff going on. But now it's time to turn that off and have 100% focus on this next opponent.
Does it feel like the Coastal game at the end of last season was another kind of big moment opportunity that you guys really responded well to?
Yeah, I think that was one of many last season. You know, the opener against Middle Tennessee, the first Sun Belt Conference game down at App State, coming back from 28-3 and winning that game. We won a number of games handily. Won our last 3 of the season. Beat ODU for the first time ever last year. JMU had never beaten ODU. And then the Coastal game was sort of the final straw. And I thought we played really well, and it was a great day.
Is there still an anger in your locker room that you can't play for the championship this year?
I don't know. I can't say that for sure. I think this team's really focused on taking care of business and doing something special.
Thank you.
We'll go over to Jackson. Jackson.
Hey, Coach. There's a lot of guys on your roster who are from the 757 area where Old Dominion is, and just the school in general just has so much connection to the Tidewater region. How much do you think that's really is it going to give your guys, do you think that'll give your roster any extra motivation going into the game? Like, how much does it kind of add to the matchup a little bit?
I think it does add quite a bit for those guys from down that way. I know it did last season also, and a lot of our players know their players. They've got guys on their team that we recruited that we're familiar with. So it definitely adds a little extra sort of spice to the game.
We'll go over to Joseph. Joseph.
Hey, Coach, you've mentioned with us a couple of times how you really enjoy the film study aspect of coaching and that sort of thing, like to absorb different philosophies and trends within the game right now. Is there anybody from a film study standpoint that particularly interests you that's like not directly related to an upcoming opponent?
Well, I like to watch people that are doing a good job. And at one point a couple of years ago, it was Western Kentucky, when they were putting those big passing numbers up, and Sarkisian when he was at Alabama. And then I hired Tino because, I wanted to change some things offensively. I like watching Lane Kiffin. I like watching Ole Miss's offense. Tennessee, I like watching them. But there's a lot of people, a big Rolodex there.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, we got time for one more from Shane. Shane.
Yeah, Coach, kind of the flip side to Jackson's question, but their starting center, Xavier Black, is a local Shenandoah Valley kid. I know he went there as a walk-on, but did you have any familiarity with him in high school or recruit him at all?
Yeah, I think we had him at camp, maybe even when I was at Elon. I can't recall exactly. A good player, and does a nice job. They got a good offensive line.
All right. Thank you, Shane. Thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Yep. Good bye week. Got some guys healthy. Got some good work done. Got some good recruiting. Guys ready to go. Questions?
All right. Thank you, Coach. As a reminder to our members of the media, just go to reactions and raise your hands. We'll start off with Billy. Billy.
Hey, Coach, looking forward to the matchup this weekend. What does it mean for your program to, really be in the driver's seat right now with this West Division matchup really kind of coming to a head? And what does that mean for your program?
I think for us, it's just so early in the season. It's still just we got to go out and put a good game plan together for Troy, and they're a really good team. And I'm just glad we have them at home, and they're really well coached and they'll be ready to play. So we just got to go out there and have a good Tuesday practice.
You mentioned playing at home. Talk a little bit about that atmosphere and what it's like in San Marcos around the football program right now.
Yeah, I think that's, one of the best things we got going is the atmosphere and the excitement around here. Hopefully we have a packed house and homecoming and I think that really helps our guys. It helps the recruiting and obviously the momentum that builds. And, on game day, it was a big factor in the win last week.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep.
Thank you. We'll go over to Craig Stevenson. Craig.
Hey, Coach. What's the biggest challenge with Troy defensively that they pose when you face them?
Yeah, I think first of all, they're really well coached. They play extremely hard. You can just feel their energy and their toughness and physicality on film. You almost kind of know exactly, what it's going to feel like pregame and on the field on Saturday, just because of the way they're coached and the way they play. So just have a lot of respect for those guys, and I think it all starts up front for them, and they're really talented.
Thanks.
Yep.
Go over to Joseph. Joseph.
Hey, Coach. Not asking you to give away the farm, but how do you begin to game plan for somebody like Kimani Vidal?
It's definitely something that is going to be a tough task. Really good player, and like you said, can't give away the farm.
Go over to Sam. Sam.
Coach, you guys have made a habit this year of kind of getting some first for the program or best in program history. You guys haven't beaten Troy as far as I can tell in program history. What would a win like that mean for the program, especially with them being the defending champs in the Sun Belt?
Yeah, it would be huge for our program and for our kids, and yeah, they're the defending champs for a reason, and that's what I told the guys yesterday. So I'm sure we'll be a pretty large underdog. Haven't seen that, but for a good reason. This is a really talented team, and it'll be a huge ball game for us.
And then you touched a little bit on Vidal, but also Chris Lewis has had some circus catches and just explosive plays for Troy at the wide receiver position. How do you kind of game plan for a player like that?
That's the number 6.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That dude can go like 6'4", 206, Kentucky transfer guy, go up and make the circus catches, and he's probably faster, and he just has that long speed. You can just tell, and Coach Craddock does a good job of putting him in different spots and getting him his touches. But they got a couple other really good receivers too that I really like. They're really talented, and the quarterback does a good job, and Coach Craddock does a really good job coaching him and getting those guys the ball in space, and everyone talks about the defense, but Coach Craddock's someone that I'm really familiar with, and great friend of mine, and man, he does a tremendous job.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you, and thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, good victory against a good ULM team that really pushed us in the second half. I thought we started fast in that game. Defensively, really set the tone with 4 turnovers that really paved the way to a good victory at home and a 2-score win. Now we can look forward to a short week playing a really good rival and Georgia State. Shawn's done a tremendous job with that team. There's a reason they're 6-1 and battling for a conference title, and we look forward to the opportunity to compete. With that, I'll take any questions you got.
All right, thank you. We'll start off with Stan Autry. Stan. Oh, Stan, I think you're still on mute.
That's better. I'm sorry. Two great quarterbacks squaring off this week. Clay, tell us about the kind of the courtship, the recruiting with Davis, and how that played out, and how important it's been that he's been able to grasp what you try to do, and it just accelerated what his season's been like.
Yeah, it was very similar to Kyle in the fact that you had an experienced player that was a 2-year starter, so the evaluation process was really easy. I thought it was a little bit easier recruiting job because if you remember when Kyle Van Treese came from Buffalo, we had not done this offense. I mean, it was primarily a spread option offense, a dive option offense in the FCS era, and then all of a sudden we're going to go throw the ball all over the park. So Kyle had to kind of believe that it was going to get done with the players that he had surrounding. It was a lot easier, I think, with Davis to be able to say, oh, there's a Caleb Hood there. There's a Derwin Burgess there. There's a J.J. McAfee there. Oh, I got this running back beside me, Jalen White. So it was a little bit easier sell than I think the first time around. There was proof that we could be one of the top offenses, not only in our conference, but in the country. And so very thankful. It's been a smooth transition. He brings a very similar skill set to Kyle, and he's the reason we're sitting here 5-2.
All right, thanks. See you Thursday.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Stan. We'll go over to Alvaro Torres. Alvaro.
Hi, Coach Helton. Well, first, congratulations on your win against Louisiana Monroe last Saturday. I hope you're having a great day. Well, how important will this game on Thursday night on national television against an in-state rival be for recruiting purposes?
Oh, it's huge. We're both in the same state. We recruit the same kids. I mean, you look at our roster, I think there's 87 of our players are from the state of Georgia and the surrounding state, and the surrounding states make up the other mass of players. So we recruit the same kids, and these kids know each other, from high school, and it makes it for a really competitive battle. I thought it was a great battle last year in a shootout where both teams, I thought, competed at a very, very high level, and we came out on the short end. But anytime that you go against a rival that's in your same state, obviously there's bragging rights, but there's also something to point to in recruiting. And so it's a big game because we're trying to go 1-0 this week. It's a big game in the Eastern Conference, but it also is big for recruiting, no question.
Go to Travis. Travis.
Hey, Coach Helton. Two questions for you. I'll let you answer the first one. I guess first, last week was a wild game, 31 straight points for you guys, and then 21 straight for them. Have you ever been around a game like that, as a head coach or an assistant, where it was two rapid swings like that?
Yeah, I think I've said this before. I think one of the most critical points of a ball game is the last 5 minutes of the first half and the first drive of the second. And, we had been really good in those areas of kind of doubling up. And this time it went the other way. ULM did a nice job with a 2-minute drive, scores with 1:43 left on the clock in the first half, then comes right back out, has a long drive and puts 3 on the board. And all of a sudden that thing went down. 10 points got on the board really quickly. That has not been our MO this season. We've taken a lot of pride in that, and credit to ULM. I thought that last 5 minutes and the first 5 minutes of the second half really got their momentum going and carried them into getting back into the football game.
And you talked about the recruiting, the in-state stuff. Does that come up, in the living room of recruits? Do they care about who won the previous year's head-to-head? Between you guys and Georgia State or you guys in App State?
Well, our conference is so regional. You're looking at 10 states, and
Right.
Our primary area is Georgia. 85% of the kids we sign are going to come out of this state. There's 87, about 120 men are from the state of Georgia on our roster. So when you look at Georgia, Florida, Alabama, South Carolina, North Carolina, and Tennessee, that's our footprint. And you have competitors that you compete against within league there. So, having success against a fellow competitor within the state, yes, that's naturally going to help you build confidence in recruits that not only are you being successful, but you're being successful at a high level. And hopefully what recruits have seen from us, going to a bowl game last year, doing some things nationally, and then all of a sudden we put ourselves right back into conference contention and having the chance to get to postseason. They see consistency, and you want to see that consistency also within league play.
Thanks, Coach.
Mm-hmm.
Go over to Alvaro Torres. Alvaro.
Well, Coach, this is your second Mother Day hate, and Georgia Sun has lost the last three. Well, how do you talk to the kids about this rivalry and how you inspire them to win?
Yeah, it's the kids know about it already. There's so many friendships and relationships between the two teams, and knowing each other and having played against each other, maybe as high school rivals, also, that everybody understands the importance. You could feel it last year when we played, how competitive it was, how much emotion was in the game for both teams. And now you add the fact that both teams are doing really well in league and having great seasons. That makes it even more exciting. That's why college football is the best sport on earth. You get to play heated rivals. You get to do it on national TV on a Thursday night and have a packed stadium like Paulson. What more could you ask for? It's a great opportunity to go play the game we love.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time.
All right. Thank you, guys. Hail Southern.
Yeah, it's another tough loss for us. We've had three pretty really tough losses. This one was a little bit different. We've had 2 games that we've lost by 1 point on basically the last play of the game. This one we got down 31-7 and had to decide what we were going to do at halftime. And I was so proud of our guys because you have a couple of tough 1 point losses, and I'm sure what goes through your head in that locker room is that, man, here we go again. But they came back and did a great job coming back and getting the game within 3 points. Held them to no score, offensive scores in the second half. Got it down to 31-28, and then got the ball back. And then the last touchdown that they scored was on a 1 minute offense interception that we threw. But turnover. We both had 4 turnovers. It was kind of sloppy from a turnover standpoint. Theirs were so much more valuable. Ours were so much more costly. We had 3 turnovers right at the end of the first half. 2 of them inside the 10-yard line. They scored in basically one play. The other at the 19. They kicked a field goal. 17 points off of 3 turnovers in a matter of about a minute and a half. And now we spent the whole time catching up. But we've kind of had to play, another quarterback. We used our freshman quarterback. We said, let's go with him, see if we can get a spark. Threw for over 400 yards against Georgia Southern. That was a spot we haven't seen as much of. And so really proud of our effort. Our guys are playing hard. We are in a great conference, and we're very competitive with everybody. This year we've kind of struggled to find a quarterback after we lost Hunter Herring. After he played the first 2 games, he broke his collarbone, and we thought we might get him back, but we're not sure of that. And so we're still trying to find an answer there. But boy, guys are playing hard, and we'll just have to come back and go again now after that loss to a very good Georgia Southern team, and then that we played at a great environment with their home stadium, and so now we're looking forward to getting home for homecoming.
All right, thank you, Coach. We'll start off with Travis. Travis, please go ahead.
Hey, Coach, I know you're looking forward, but just looking back at Georgia Southern, if you could, the Eagles will play App State later in the year, as well as Texas State, 2 teams that you guys have already played. If you could, I guess, how would you see Georgia Southern matching up against those 2 teams, Texas State and App State?
That's kind of hard to say. I can talk a little bit more about my team than I can about Georgia Southern playing against those kind of opponents. I appreciate your question, and I'll give you a quick answer. Georgia Southern is a fine those will be very competitive games. Those are all very good teams, and I will say this: they all have very good quarterbacks.
Thank you. We'll go over to Sam. Sam.
Coach, what did you see from Blake Murphy, whether it's in practice or during your bye week relatively recently, that made you kind of want to see him get on the field and give him a chance here in the game against Georgia Southern?
Well, we're just trying to find a spark, and again, Jaya does certain things well. Jaya Wright, our senior quarterback, does certain things well. We got behind. We know that Blake Murphy is, he came out of American Heritage High School, won a state championship in Miami. Has been a quarterback all his life, grew up 7-on-7. He's kind of the guy that can throw the football, very comfortable in a pocket, although he hadn't played in a college football game until Saturday. And he makes some mistakes. We're going to have to go through it a little bit, but I'm sure he's going to get some more shots. But I think when you get a guy like that, he's played against great people in the high school league that he was in Miami and won championships. And you can tell he's been a quarterback all his life, and he's very comfortable in the pocket, gets rid of the ball quickly. And so we'll probably use 2 quarterbacks, but we'll get him some time because he is a very instinctive quarterback that's does a lot of things well throwing the football.
And then another relatively young player for you guys, Buggs Mortimer, had a breakout game this week as well. How would you kind of assess his performance?
Buggs has been a very good athlete for us. It was a breakout game. We just, we've tried to find a quarterback and find our passing game, and I think we're working toward that. I think it's been as much for Bug about not being able to get the ball to some of those receivers as much as we would like, but he's got great speed. He's athletic, and he's had some good games in the past. But it was good to see him break out. We've got, Ty Howell is always going to have a pretty good game, but we've got some other good receivers. Nana Davis, our other small receiver, I should say, had a big touchdown pass right before the half. And so it's good to see those guys catch the balls and make some plays. And, it's funny, we had 400 yards passing, but we didn't have time to run the football. We were playing catch up all the time. But it's good to see those receivers and that quarterback put us in a position to go down. Of course, we got the ball back 31-28 with a chance to go down, either tied up or win the game before the half. And then Blake made a mistake. Second, you don't really want to throw an interception on second down. If you're going to throw an interception in 1 minute, make sure it's on the last play of the game. But that's an experience there. So, but anyway, glad to see Bug Mortimer playing well, and we'll need those guys to play well as we find ways to win games in our conference.
We'll go over to Billy. Billy.
Hey, Coach, you kind of mentioned this, a really back and forth game, and then the 2 1-point losses.
Right.
How do you keep morale up, and what does the general feel like in the locker room right now?
Well, you know what I said, it was a little different this week. I mean, when you lose on the last play of the game, the locker room's tough. I mean, it's tough because those kids played so hard, and you're talking about a 54-yard field goal to beat you in one game, and then two fourth quarter scores at Texas State that we come back and get down in position for a field goal and they call a penalty. So those are a little tougher. This one, I think, when we got to the end of the field, I said, fellas, you guys, every opportunity after going through what y'all been through to sit there and say this, we can't, this isn't our year. But they came back and played so hard and came back. I think we learned a lot about the character of this football team. And I've coached too many years to not see the quality in this football team. So we're staying positive, and we've got to start this week positive, and just kind of say, let's just focus on this football game and playing Arkansas State, and go one at a time. And but again, that's what you got to do, is just keep the guys understanding that they're getting better, they're playing great football, they're playing hard, and that ball is going to start bouncing the other way somewhere along the line.
Thanks, Coach.
All right.
Thank you, and appreciate your time, Coach. Thank you for joining us.
All right, now.
Yeah, coming off a bye week, got a lot of self-scout stuff done. Hopefully healed up a little bit. Got some rest. Watched other people play football on Saturday. We get to play this Saturday against a really good Texas State team on the road, 6 o'clock. Big time challenge for our guys and our staff to get ready for. So excited about getting back in conference play.
All right, thank you. We'll start off with Craig Stevenson. Craig.
Hey, Coach. When you watch Texas State, where have they improved the most this year from in the past?
Where have they improved the most?
Yeah, like in general, across the board or whatever.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
They're better on offense. They're better on defense. The return game's better. I think they're better everywhere. I mean, I'm not trying to be sarcastic. Like, quarterback is playing better than they were playing last year at the quarterback position. Their O-line's bigger. They got more receiver threats. Last year it was just the Ashton Hawkins kid kind of. Now it's everybody. The back is, I think, one of the best backs in our league. Their D-line's deeper and active. Last year when we got ready to play them, I thought it was a one-man wrecking show with Levi Bell. This year I think it's like everybody on their D-line's a good player. At linebacker, I think they're faster right now, and their secondary looks like it's playing a lot better. So, I mean, I look at every part of their game, and they're just a lot better football team across the board, and they're a deeper team, and they're a more confident team. I think maybe the most impressive thing, Craig, is I think, they really took a lot of transfers, but I think they seem to be a cohesive, connected team, which I think that's probably the thing when you go heavy transfer-wise, it can be scary, is what's the culture of your locker room. I think they've done a nice job of making sure they get relationships. So I'm very impressed with their team as a whole.
Finley, when you face a quarterback that big, what's the challenge? Just to bring him down, and among other things.
Yeah, well, the first thing is he's got a rocket for an arm. I mean, there's not a throw he can't make, especially if he's able to step into it. He's a big guy, like you said, hard to get down. Runs probably a touch better than people realize. But he's a load. He's a good player. He is a big old dude that our guys, they got to really bring it when they are able to get to him, because he's physical.
Thanks.
I'll go over to.
Hey, Coach. So heading to San Marcos this weekend, what are the preparations like, and what are your thoughts on, playing that game at Texas State this weekend?
Yeah, it seems like they've had good crowds, and they got the students turn out and great support. Road trips, always a hostile environment. So, you just have to get ready to play a good, clean football game.
And then defensively, kind of following up on that, you guys have put up pretty good numbers defensively this year. What was so essential about the rest this past week and going in fresh this weekend?
Yeah, I think just getting healthy. We've had bumps and bruises. Guys have been limited. Some guys have been out. I don't think we've really played that good on defense, to be honest with you. Everybody's patting our guys in the back like we played good defense. I think we played pretty average.
Thanks, Coach.
All right. Thank you, Billy. We'll go over to Sam. Sam?
Coach, Chris Lewis has been a tough matchup for most teams so far this year. What is it about him that makes him such a unique player?
Yeah, he's tall. That's the first thing that sticks out about him. He on the GPS stuff, we don't time our players in 40s because they're already on our team, so I don't really care what they run the 40 in. But we use the GPS stuff to sort of track their top end speeds. He runs really fast for a longer guy. Usually those long guys are build up runners. He gets the top end speed a little quicker than you realize until you see him in person. You're like, wow, this guy can get the top speed a little faster than most of these long body type guys. He got great ball skills. He catches the ball. He's made, 10 circus catches this year. 10 that you're like, that could be on ESPN with one of the top plays of the week. Like, that's just, he almost does it so regularly that it's not even a big deal. You just anticipate he should always do it. But, and then probably the most undersold thing about Chris, man, he is incredibly smart. He is a high level mental guy. He's really, really sharp, very conscientious. One of the smartest kids I've been around as a receiver, I think maybe ever. Just a really smart young man.
And then obviously you got Texas State this week, and then the following week you follow that up with South Alabama. So what's it like coming out of the bye, knowing you kind of have two of the premier other teams from the West Division coming up back to back?
Yeah, I think everybody we played in this last stretch is gonna be good. My Texas State's got my full focus. The only thought I've even put into the next game is, we play at 6:00 Saturday night, and we have a short week, which I'm not in love with that. Like, that's kind of, the thing. We're going to be back at 4 a.m. So the only thought I've even had on the next game is like our player safety and health and well-being with playing on a short week to next week, to be honest. Other than that, I haven't even thought about the next game.
All right. Thank you, Sam. And thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time today.
Thank y'all.
Yeah, coming off of a tough one last week against a good Georgia State team, we're coming up a little bit short. Certainly don't have any time to feel sorry for yourself. Kind of jumping right back into the fire here, getting ready for a really good South Alabama team that's red hot right now, that's playing really good football. So, just got to correct some things and keep this thing moving forward, because we certainly got a challenge ahead of us this week.
Thank you, Coach. Our first questions come from Craig Stevenson. Craig?
Hey, Coach. With the South Alabama's been scoring pretty much every time they've had the ball the last couple of games. What kind of premium does that put on you guys offensively to make the most of all your opportunities?
Well, there's certainly pressure anytime you got teams that are scoring like that. You can't give up 55 points and expect to win, so that's what they're scoring the last two games. We're going to have to play really well on defense. But on offense, we got to throw the ball more efficiently than we did last week. We were just a little off kind of in the pass game all night. Whether it be a protection here or, a little bit off on a throw there, it's not real precise on route depth. We just weren't really firing on all cylinders there. So going to have to throw the ball much more effectively. And in the run game, you've got to find some run plays to be efficient. They've kind of gotten into this unique defensive structure that they're playing right now out of an odd front that's given people a lot of problems the last couple of weeks. So, we got to kind of circle around that and figure out a way to put together a good plan offensively.
And South Alabama offensively, what the last couple of games, what have they been doing to be that good, I guess?
I mean this, to me, this is a compliment. They're not reinventing the wheel. They are playing really, really sound football. And to me, that's the way it's supposed to be played. They have a variety in their run game, right? They run gap plays, zone plays. They have really good skill guys on the outside. The quarterback is a veteran player that makes really good decisions. I think in the past game, they run concepts that you can see are all from the same tree that the quarterback knows the ins and outs of, does a really good job getting the ball where it needs to go, gets it out of his hand. They're just playing really good football. They've got two really good running backs. Their offensive line's much improved from last year. They're just playing really good ball. You know, I mean, it's not a gimmicky thing at all. I mean, they're lining up and they're getting the good runs, and the quarterback's making good decisions when the box is overloaded. And, you know, their receivers have the ability to make you miss and turn, you know, simple completions into big explosives. So that they've just done a really good job the last 2 weeks of playing good football and offense.
Thank you.
We'll go over to Sam. Sam.
Coach, Colin Lacey's been an explosive player at wide receiver for South Alabama. What do you guys need to do to try to limit those explosive plays from him?
Well, you know, he's going to get touches. I think the big thing, if you watch it, a lot of his explosive plays, he's making a guy miss in space, and he turns a 4 or 5 yard gain into 25 or 30. So he's going to get touches. He's going to get catches. He's going to get yards. You just can't give him any extra yards is kind of the thing. And it's easier said than done. You know, I think the kid's got really, really good play strength. He's dynamic in open field. And he just catches. He's just a natural ball catcher. You know, I mean, there's no bobbles. There's no double catches. It's in the hands, and he's out, and he becomes a runner after the catch. I mean, immediately. So you can't give him anything extra. You got to do a great job on the perimeter, and you really have to leverage the ball. And the first guy in cannot miss. You know, I mean, that it's that simple, you know. So a lot of what they're doing is they're trying to get the ball out of the quarterback's hand, get it to Lacey and some of these other guys, number 12, these other guys in space. And they've done an excellent job, especially the last couple of weeks. You know, they make the first guy miss, and, you know, I mean, they've got some juice to go. So you can't give him anything extra. He's going to get enough on his own.
And then how important is it for you guys to be able to establish your run game a little bit more this week to keep your defense off the field as much and keep some of those explosive playmakers for South Alabama off the field?
Yeah, you know, I mean, that's kind of, we've done a really good job running the ball really all year until this past week. You know, we just kind of couldn't get in that rhythm. And, you know, for the first time in probably 2 years, we just were just a little off, you know, whether it be the identification or just the combination, which, you know, certainly you have to give Georgia State credit in the way they play. I mean, I always believe that, but, you know, we got to get back to running it effectively and efficiently, and it's not going to be easy because, I mean, I think these guys run a really good scheme, but they're a talented group. You know, I felt that way for the last couple of years that in our division, they've got, if not the best, it's one of the best rosters. And it's been that way for a while now. You know, they've got good players, and they're playing with a whole lot of confidence these last couple of weeks. And, you know, you can see it, man. They're flying around. They're playing physical, hard-nosed football.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, we'll go over to Billy. Billy, please go ahead.
Hey, Coach, what schematically can you use from that second half, you know, holding Georgia State scoreless? What can you use from that second half going into this weekend?
It's kind of funny. Everybody wants to talk about second half adjustments and all this stuff, right? We just played a lot freaking better in the second half, you know. It's, you know, defensively, I mean, our kids played great for 50 minutes of that game on defense, you know, and it kills you because they came out there. I thought we did a really good job up front. You know, we made the run game difficult. And truthfully, that there were 3 big plays in that second quarter that, you know, a 3rd and 24 that we don't get the call right. And we bust one down the middle, goes for a touchdown. You know, they have a perimeter screen out there that, like I'm talking about with Lacey, you know, they get the ball to the running back. We don't get them on the ground. It pops for like 50, you know, should be 5 or 6. You know, and then they had a really good play. They had a really good design on a post. Quarterback makes a great throw, and those are going to happen. You know, we have to just play really sound, you know, and I know that gets old. It's a broken record, but, you know, with what they do on offense at South, they're going to put you in position. They're going to test your eye discipline because they've got all these perimeter screens and these slide routes with the tight ends, and they do a lot of things. I mean, you know, they take shots off the run sets. They do a really good job. You have to play with eye discipline. You have to play fundamental football. You have to stop. You have to excuse me. You have to claim the line of scrimmage on defense, right? You got to knock them back. And then on the secondary and that linebacker, you have to have your eyes in the right spot because there's a lot of smoke and mirrors with what they do. And it's all built, it all looks the same. So, you know, their shots come off of the run sets that look the same. And then they'll have some tight zone runs and some wide zone runs. The next thing you know, they pop a receiver or a tight end out on a screen or on a perimeter screen, and they block it up, and then it goes for a big one. So you just got to play really good football. I mean, and I don't know a better way to say it. They're a tough team. We got to go play with toughness and effort and discipline, you know, because that's what it comes down to every year when we play these guys. You know, I mean, you go back to probably the last 6 years, and I mean, it's been a dogfight every time you play them, and I expect no different this week, to be quite honest with you.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep, thank you.
Yeah, coming off a week where we got our butt whipped, in every way. South Alabama played a great game, man. Credit to Coach Wommack and those guys. We've had a little bit of time to recuperate and get some guys back healthy. We had a lot of guys out for that game. We got a tough test again this week, going to App State, man. Perennial great football program. They've lost every one of their losses this year has been by one score. They could easily be an undefeated football team. And we know it's going to be a tremendous challenge. They do a great job running the football, and they've played their defensive scheme this way for a long time. They do a great job of getting off the ball and playing. So with that, I'll open it up.
Thank you, Coach. We'll start off with Garrett Busby. Garrett.
Hey, Coach. Will there be a QB battle between Holman Edwards and Billy Wiles this week in the lead up to the game?
Well, we're looking at all options. We've had a few practices last week and this week, and we're looking at all options for the best way to move the football. And we had a good practice this morning, and we're looking at everything.
Go over to Scott Curt. Scott.
Coach, I'm just wondering, playing a team in the Sun Belt East, being year 2 in the conference, just how fun and how exciting is the challenge to go to Kid Brewer Stadium? I think it's the first time in 9 years that Southern Miss has played App State. First time definitely in Kid Brewer Stadium, I remember. So just how exciting is that?
Yeah, it's going to be a great opportunity for us. You've got two programs that have great, rich and storied traditions in football. Both black and gold, both call their stadium the Rock. So there's a lot there to that. Another way we're similar is we both lost a lot of close games over the last 2 years. And I got great respect for Coach Clark and how they build their program. They do a phenomenal job in the run game as well as leveraging the run on defense. And so you got two proud programs that are battling and fighting, and it should be a great game this weekend.
We'll go over to Heath. Heath.
Hey, Coach Hall said last week, turning over play calling duties and game planning to Coach Greg and Coach Joseph. Just want to get dynamics of that. Which one, I guess, Coach Greg, I have the final decision on offensive play calling. Will one be in the box? Will both be on the sideline? How's that dynamic going to work?
Yeah, they're both game planning the law. The game planning responsibilities will run through Sam. Greg and Coach Joseph will be in the box. Sam will be on the field, and they'll probably divide those play calls up by situation. And I don't want to go into that too much. I don't want to give away everything we're doing, but situationally, and that'll be the main way. Yep.
All right, we'll go over to Garrett. Garrett.
Hey, I just wanted to ask about Jay Stanley and if he practiced today.
We expect Jay to play this week. We were without Jalen Williams, Jay Stanley, and Jaleel Clemens, our three best players on defense, three really good football players this past week. We expect all three of them to be back playing this weekend versus App State, which will be awesome. To get all three of those guys back in one loop right there will be huge, for our defense and also for our whole football team.
Thanks, Coach.
All right. And Scott, you have a follow-up?
Yes, I do. I was just curious. I know App State, you said you guys are a little bit similar, losing those close games. So far, just what have you seen from maybe their offense or defense that maybe has stuck out, during your time, just looking at them and stuff like that?
Yeah, their offensive line really makes them go, and their tight ends offensively. Really veteran group. They do what they do, man. They're awesome at running the wide zone and all the intricacies of it. Their tight ends really make them go. They're their safety nets in the passing game. They do a great job in the run game. Defensively, they got a young freshman, number 90. That's done a great job of pass rush. You can tell he's going to be a really dynamic player in this league. And schematically, in all phases, they've been doing what they do for a long time there. Coach Clark's been there, played there, and been a part of that program for a long time. So they play with great technique, and they're really good at what they do in all phases.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, thank you. And thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks so much, guys.
Good afternoon. Coming off a really nice win against Louisiana Lafayette down there, their place. Man, what a ball game. Probably felt like we had it in control there a little bit in the first half, and made a mistake right before halftime, and the momentum switched, and they did a great job in coming back. And us, we had to make a stop there at the end of the game, last play of the game, to win it. It was a great football play by Pringle, and we came up with another conference win. So we're feeling very fortunate for that, and looking forward to a big matchup this Thursday. Louisiana's a little further away than we would like to be in when you play on a Thursday night the following week away. But we're going to manage that, and got a good practice this morning, and we're looking forward to the matchup against a really good Georgia Southern football team.
Coach, we'll start off with Brady. Brady, please go ahead.
Hey, Coach.
Hey, Brady.
Wanted to ask, from your point of view in the defensive staff, how much of a luxury is to have those kind of core four at linebacker that kind of, no matter how much you plug in or who you plug and play, you get consistency there?
Well, I think every football program wants consistency in a lineup. And, when you have that, whether it's in the linebacker crew or the secondary, the offensive line, it's a luxury for everyone. I mean, we've certainly identified the guys that are going to play and who need to be in there. And it makes us feel pretty good that it's been a consistent lineup pretty much week after week. So, that's a good thing for us. And like I said, consistency is a positive thing for any football program.
And I guess, what are you going to have to switch your focus to defensively as you look at this Georgia Southern offense after playing Louisiana last week?
Well, Louisiana, thought going in there, we're a heavy run team. They play with a lot of 12 personnel. That's probably not going to be the case going in with Georgia Southern. Going to throw the ball around a little bit more. They'll dabble in a little zone scheme, a little counter scheme, little base power run scheme. So, we're going to have to defend the pass, certainly, and be on point, but you can't overlook the run. They've got explosive running backs, and their offensive line does a nice job. They're very well coached. I think they're just like a lot of teams, if the running lanes are opening up and their creases in there, they'll probably stick with it. If not, they'll stick with their traditional game plan and throw it around the park a little bit.
All right, we'll go over to Stan.
Hey, Shawn. Good afternoon.
How are you?
Yeah, doing well. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Good. I was looking at the numbers, and you guys play fast, but they've run 100 more plays than you guys. What's the challenge of keeping up with a team that runs that many plays that fast?
Who are you talking about? Georgia Southern?
Yeah.
They run 100 more plays than we have?
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess we have to line up and play fast with them. I don't know. I really haven't looked as to how many more plays they run than we have. We play against us every single day, offensively and defensively. It's good on good. It doesn't matter what day it is. We play with tempo. We have to get a line and assign quickly defensively, and we certainly do offensively. So, I don't know if that's going to be a big factor. Usually that's a factor when teams don't see tempo and that type of pace. But us defensively, we should be okay. But you still got to get the call from the sideline when it's true game like experience right there. You got to get the call in. You got to execute it in a fast manner. I call them fastballs. You got to have real solid fastballs to call when tempo comes up. And we've got some defensive fastballs that we can play with.
Two outstanding quarterbacks in the showcase this week. How would you characterize Davis Brin?
Well, I think it's a tremendous thrower. I mean, he can put the ball in place where they need to be. It's fun to watch him play because he knows the game so well. That's how they can operate and get the ball out of his hands so quickly. He's intelligent. The route concepts are there. He knows, it doesn't take him very long to recognize who's open, who's not. And that's why they're successful. I mean, I think he's a fascinating quarterback to watch. Love studying, love watching their offense, to be honest with you. I think it's going to be a great matchup. It's certainly not like Darren. Darren has the ability to run a little bit more probably. But it'll be a fun game to see. The matchup is something everybody looks for in a ball game, and I think this will be a great matchup.
Thanks.
We'll go to Sam. Sam,
Coach, it seems like every couple of weeks, Gavin Pringle's had one of these kind of game shifting moments. Can you talk through the process of recruiting him to come down to Georgia State, and then just how important you think he's been for your secondary?
Well, how important has he been? When you make the game-winning play there at the end, that's pretty important. He's made several plays like that during the course of his short time with us. His recruiting was basically just like everyone else that we recruit here. It's pretty much honesty, and this is what you can do for our football program. This is what we can do for you as a person and a player, and do we match up? Do you have the demeanor and the mentality that we want in our football program, and vice versa? Are we the people that you want in your life, coaching you and pushing you to be the very, very best? So, we came to a conclusion very quickly that was the two things we needed. He needed us and we needed him, and it's worked out well for us.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, we got time for one more from Billy.
Hey, Coach.
Hey, Billy.
First and foremost, congratulations on bowl eligibility. How do you continue that, with 5 games still left? You want to celebrate the moment, but you still, have other goals you want to achieve.
Well, I mean, I let our guys understand that winning is an important thing. So after every game that we win, we celebrate it. I mean, it doesn't matter. This past game was no different. I told them, I said, tomorrow at 1:00, it's over and done with, but we're going to go in here. I'm going to relax. I'm going to celebrate it. I'm going to laugh. I'm going to smile. We're going to high five everybody and just experience it. These games are hard. They're tough games to win. So when you do, you better enjoy them, and they need to understand, how to enjoy them. You have to enjoy them the right way. I talked to them a little bit. I said, you got to turn the page. And that's what we've done thus far. We've turned the page pretty quickly. We're not going to change a whole lot that we do because of it's a short week, but we're right on schedule.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I think, Coach, appreciate your time.
Appreciate you guys.
Yes, good morning. Looking back at the game, was really, really proud of the way our players competed. I thought they had the energy necessary. I thought they competed, never gave up, still believe we were going to win the football game. I think that was evident when we blocked the field goal. But it's all about the discipline to execute over a period of time. It's quality football for 60 minutes. However you deem it, winning football, quality football for 60 minutes. We weren't able to do that. We did that in spurts. But, when you're playing the quality of opponents that we have in the Sun Belt, you have to play quality football, like I said, for 60 minutes. We took 14 points off the board. You can't do that. And when you think about it, we had a 9-play drive. We had a 12-play drive that ended in touchdowns. And we only came away with 3 points from that. They were senseless penalties that were very uncharacteristic of our football team and the players that actually did it. It's very uncharacteristic. We weren't very good in critical situations in terms of managing the critical downs, in terms of third down, red zone, offense and defense, red zone efficiency. So we weren't very good in those areas when you really look at it. Now we're going on the road to Monroe, which is a very, very, very good football team. All you have to do is watch their body of work and watch their video. They play at a high level. They have intensity. They have great effort. Very good football team. record does not indicate who they are. All you have to do is look at their games with App State, Georgia Southern, Texas State. They could very well be sitting at 5-2 as opposed to 2-5. So a great challenge for us, but many teaching points and a lot of learning lessons with a very young football team that we have to learn from these failures. We have to learn from these and continue to move forward.
Thank you. We'll start off with Luke Madison. Luke?
Well, Coach, you just mentioned it, and it's no secret, very young football team. We've talked about that all year long. Playing those younger guys, what are some of the things that you've seen up to this point that you like, but maybe also some things that you feel like they need to continue to work on?
Yeah, well, I like their competitive spirit. I think they've added a whole nother dynamic to our football program in terms of the competitive character that they bring every day. And they want to play, and they're learning through that. I think the biggest thing for them in moving forward, and I met with them yesterday regarding that, is just your pride in your preparation. You know, whether it's your role on special teams, is the extra video study. You just can't do football within the building. You know, what do you do football in your preparation when you leave the building? So I think that's the biggest thing with a young football player, is the preparation that goes into playing winning football on Saturday, but also your pride and performance of understanding your role. If you're the right guard on punt, well, why not be the best right guard in America? And you take pride in that, in the details and the overall discipline that it takes. So again, I'm excited about our freshmen. Obviously, we have a lot playing for us, and these are all learning experiences that I think are going to do nothing but benefit us in the future.
Over to Logan. Logan?
Hey, Coach, a couple questions. First, just what did you make of Jalen's performance Saturday and just how he's grown since the bye week and even going back to Troy? And then two, preparing for ULM. ULM threw out Blake Murphy, who had over 300 yards against Georgia Southern, and potentially preparing for two quarterbacks. Just how do you go about preparing for a week like that?
Well, it's a challenge because they actually played three quarterbacks. So again, each one has a little bit different, unique skill set. So, that's going to be a challenge. And then they're surrounded by really good football players. Their receiving core is dynamic. They can run. They make plays. They can make contested catches. Big offensive line. So again, I think the people around them make it as much of a challenge as those individual skill set. In terms of Jalen's performance, every rep is vital. Every practice rep, every live game rep is vital. I thought he did some really good things, but also there's probably about 5 or 6 plays he would like to have back as well. There was a number of times where he could have pulled the ball, which he didn't. There was a couple of times where our drops and our rhythm and our spacing, we were a count behind. But in terms of managing the overall game, we had 2 turnovers on offense, which you can't do. So you learn as a quarterback, you never work back into the pocket. Anytime you work back in the pocket, not good things happen. So these are all things in moving forward, his eye discipline, his eye control. But again, I see him getting better and better and better. And, we're putting a lot on his shoulders as a true freshman, but it's very encouraging. I thought his leadership was very, very good. He got us, for the most part, in the right plays. So again, very encouraged by his performance, but a lot also that we left out there.
All right, we'll go over to Sam. Sam?
Coach, how important was it to get Corey Rucker going again? First 100-yard game back at Arkansas State. Has he been a leader for the program? And then kind of how has, having a little bit more experienced guy like Corey around some of these younger guys that you mentioned helped the program thus far?
Yes, Sam, I think, first of all, getting him back into the rhythm, and, he's still recovering from the injury that he had at South Carolina. So he's still not been at 100%. I think Saturday night was the closest that he's been. But, he adds a whole nother dynamic to our offense. So that was great to see him step up and make plays. We have a very, very young receiving room. So when you have somebody that kind of has the experiences of Corey, of being here, leaving, going to the SEC, coming back here, I think that's a great illustration for our program and for our younger players to really listen to him. So he's done a great job of really mentoring the younger players. He's been very consistent in his approach and his practice habits every single day. So that was great to get him involved early and to see him make the plays that he did.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you, and thank you, Coach. Appreciate it. That's all the time we have for you today.
Hey, Travis, thanks again. Have a great week.
You as well, sir. All right.
Yeah, proud of our team. I thought we played with a great mentality, a great toughness. Obviously, being able to come up with a win in this conference is always tough. And you know, I thought our home crowd really helped us, and we were able to do some good things there. And excited about that win.
All right, thank you, Coach. We'll start off with Mike Barber. Mike.
Morning, Ricky. When you look at JMU and particularly their quarterback Jordan McLeod, what things are he doing well, and what has he kind of got more comfortable as this season progressed?
I think, and this is, from me, this is an ultimate compliment when I say this. The ball's going where it's supposed to go, you know, and I think that, you know, that's where I've seen it. I've just, they run a wide variety of passing game. You know, they do a nice job of attacking you horizontally and vertically, and he's really doing a nice job of getting the ball to go where it's supposed to go, whether it's in the run game, whether it's in the pass game, pulling it when he's supposed to, throwing a bubble when he's supposed to in the run game, you know, taking the check down when he needs to in the pass game, ball out to the first read, taking his shots when he's supposed to. I just think that he's done a nice job. And then he will sit in that pocket, and he's very athletic, but he will sit in that pocket and he will take one right in the teeth in order to throw a ball. And I think for anybody who watched me play, I was nowhere near the athlete that he was, but if I could do one thing well, I could take a shot, you know, and that sort of thing. And most of the time it was because I missed a hot route, but you know, he doesn't do that. So, you know, he's done some really nice things there.
When I talked to Jason Henderson, I guess last week, he mentioned his relationship with you going back to the Penn State days. And one of the things he said was, you know, the open door policy, he can come in and talk to you about anything. I'm curious, when you made the transition from assistant coach to head coach, for some head coaches, that's hard to, they no longer are the guy, right? Players go talk to. You talk to your position coach, your assistant coach, your GA, maybe more than your head coach. What have you found has changed in communication once you became the boss?
I think it's the process. You know, for me, I needed to, you know, I mean, I changed my office around this year so that I could literally leave my door open more often so guys would feel like they could come in. You know, now I rarely close my door. It's really, right now is one of the times when my door is closed when I'm doing these sort of things. So I think that's part of it. But the other thing I've realized is how impactful my words are. You know, just a simple sentence I might say to a guy in the hallway can really impact his day positively or negatively, right? Where maybe before as an assistant, they would have just let that, you know, water off a duck's back there. But now it matters a lot more. So it's all a learning process for me. You know, I look at this league and I see some of the experience that these other head coaches have, and you know, I know that they've been through some of this sort of stuff. So for me, it's a learning process each and every day. And I'm not afraid to admit that, you know, I mean, I think we're all going to learn. I think every head coach should be learning all the time. But for me, obviously the lessons come a little bit more fast and furious.
Is Jason one of those guys who takes advantage of that open door layout?
Oh yeah. Yeah. And we do have a good relationship where, you know, I can kind of see if he's off a little bit, you know, I think he can kind of see if I'm off. And sometimes there's some of that, right? You know, I mean, I think the guys have done a not really nice job of that this year is they've gone out of their way to develop a relationship with me. You know, I have 115 guys on the team, so it's hard for me to necessarily always go out and have those relationships with everybody. But they've been coming to me, right? I mean, Steph DeBose will just stop in my office and I'm like, what's up, man? And he's like, nothing. I just wanted to say hi and, you know, just see how you were doing today. And that's really been helpful. the guys have been able to do that. I've been able to, kind of head some things off that I've seen. Hey, this guy seems off today a little bit more than normal and that sort of thing. So, yeah, I've really been proud of our team about how much they've gone out of their way to develop a relationship with me. And so I think it speaks more about the type of young men we have necessarily than, me and my policies.
Thank you.
Go over to Shane. Shane?
Yeah, I guess similar about the open door policy and everything. Xavier Black was just speaking to him about coming in as a walk-on. He said his first few practices, he felt like, he was probably only identified by his number till people figured out who he was. Was there a point early in his career where you kind of identified him as a guy who would eventually get on the field and do what he's doing for you?
I mean, his competitiveness always showed up, and I would tell him that when I first got here, I probably only knew everybody by their number. So, I mean, you're kind of, drinking through a fire hose there for a while and that sort of thing. It's funny. I didn't really even know who was on scholarship and who wasn't. And so I just wanted to know who was going to play. We've been able to have some guys earn some scholarships here. There's been one or two guys every single year that I've been here, walk-ons that have earned a scholarship. And I think that that's one of our advantages that we can have here at Old Dominion is we can have a great, walk-on pool and guys that can really make some plays, particularly because, we're one of the more affordable schools in the state of Virginia. So, for X, he's a guy who loves ball. He's a guy who competes. He's a guy who's got a lot of grit to him, which I love. And so those sort of things did stand out early.
Does it say something about him where, he comes in as a walk-on, then all the COVID stuff happens, he has to go home, he still comes back and, kind of works his way through the program. Does it say something about him that he stuck through all that stuff?
No, yeah. I think it says something about every single kid in America who battled through COVID and was able to find a way to get better and find a way to keep going through that sort of thing, because that was not easy on those guys. Particularly because they didn't know what to expect and what was coming next. An athlete's life is about continuity. And while they sometimes complain about the structure and complain about how many things they have on their schedule, the reality of it is they crave it and they need it because that's what they've become accustomed to. That time period was not about that. It was about being able to adjust and being able to adapt. And I think it really, all the young men who battled through that and young women, every athlete in the country who battled through that, deserves some praise because that was not an easy thing.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Coach. That's all the time we have for you today. I do appreciate it.
Thank you.
How's everybody doing? Really excited to get back on the field after a few days off. Tough battle last week against JMU. Really good quality football program. I thought our guys played extremely tough. We didn't make enough plays against a good program. Hats off to JMU and Coach Cignetti and his staff. They're doing a phenomenal job. So looking forward to another big challenge down in Conway, South Carolina this weekend against another really good team. It's had a lot of success in this league. A lot of respect for Coach Beck and what he's done in his career and what he's doing and building there at Coastal Carolina. So got a lot of work to do. Got a lot of guys to get back in the flow and really excited about it. So with that, open up for questions.
Coach, we'll start off with Luke Creasy. Luke?
Hey, Coach. Just as kind of a follow-up to what you've alluded to as far as the injuries on the team go, how beneficial were these last couple of days to have them off and get some guys some rest?
The reality of it is a couple of days really doesn't make that much of a difference. You play Thursday night, you get done at midnight. You get Friday, Saturday, we're right back in Sunday. It's not like a typical bye week where you get the entire week. Yes, it's great. It's probably more beneficial for the mental health aspect of just giving the guys a chance to kind of take a deep breath. But it's 2 days. So when you're talking about the type of injuries that we're talking about that are not season ending, it's beneficial, but bye week gives you a lot more. Gives you a lot more downtime. And then you got to think about it. Thursday night doesn't really count because the injuries that you got or the bruising and the beat up that you got Thursday night, you recover from Saturday or Friday, and then Saturday you take a break, and Sunday you're right back into your normal routine. So from a mental health standpoint, I think it's good to get kind of a deep breath. As far as the actual injuries and getting guys back, 50-50 depends on what the injury is, if that makes sense.
Over to Mike.
Hey, Coach, one more on that injury front. We saw a pretty scary injury for JJ in that game. Did you have an update on how he's doing and what his situation is?
Yeah, JJ's doing phenomenal. Hats off to our medical team here, not only our in-house medical team, but our Cabell Huntington Hospital crew and all the people that were involved. All the tests came back negative. JJ was responsive when he left the field. When I got to see him Thursday night at the hospital, he was in good spirits. They kept him overnight to just run some, follow-up tests. He was released he was released the next morning. So everything's good with him. He's back with the team now, going through his normal return to play protocol. But again, hats off to our medical team. Hats off to everyone that was involved in making sure that young man was well taken care of. Thanks to everybody. Thanks to everybody for the prayers and well wishes. The Sunbelt staff was phenomenal. Other coaches in this league, phenomenal. Just everyone around the country. Thank you guys for that, and JJ appreciates that.
Awesome, good stuff. That's good to hear, Coach. And then I wanted to ask you, just looking back for one at that JMU game, what did Jordan McLeod, their quarterback, do well? And it seemed like you guys had him pretty well bottled up for a bit before he got going. What did you see in the matchup with him?
Yeah, I mean, he's a great player. I think, again, he's done a really good job all year of just taking what the defense gives him. I think he has all the tools in the toolbox, but the number one tool that he has is he lets the system do the work. A lot of really good quarterbacks get in trouble when they try to do too much or they try to do more. He lets the system do the work, and ultimately in that game, the system allowed him to make some plays. I mean, you talk about a great ball, a great route against a great defender in great position. That's good football. They couldn't have picked a better DB for us to have locked on to their best guy with an unbelievable throw and an unbelievable catch. That's happened. That's football. But that's, again, when good players allow the system to work for them. The quarterback did not force that ball. He took what the defense gave him. It's one-on-one coverage. He made a phenomenal throw. His receiver made a phenomenal catch. That's what quality teams are able to do consistently, and he's been able to do that all year.
Great. Thank you, Coach.
Got time for one more from Alan.
Hey, Coach. Grayson McCall had a bit of a scary injury himself, and hasn't apparently been ruled out for your game yet. I guess how do you kind of prepare for Coastal not knowing whether he's going to play or not play?
I can't speak for their medical staff. JJ will be out for us. He won't be questionable, doubtful, any of that. I think, again, in-house here at Marshall, we got to make good decisions for players' long-term health. JJ probably could clear the concussion protocol, but I think it's a rough setup when you have a kid who's carted off the field and returns next week. I don't know if that's the light we want on our game, following the Tua Tagovailoa situation. So we prepare as if he's going to play because, again, our medical team and our medical parameters are different at every school. So we prepare as if he's going to play. Obviously, we will also do some work on some of their backups as well. We've been in a situation this year a few times where we've had to prepare for two different quarterbacks. Obviously, he's a phenomenal player. Our prayers go out to him. I'm glad that he is doing well. But we got to prepare for both because he is a game changer. Obviously, he's played in that university arena multiple years, so he's really comfortable around those players. He's really comfortable playing the game. We all know the prowess that he has, 3 times Conference Player of the Year, records, out the wazoo. So we got to respect him and prepare for him, but we also have to be aware of the situation that obviously he may or may not be able to participate. So this will be the 3rd or 4th time we've had to kind of prepare for 2 quarterbacks that have different and similar qualities, right? The backups have some athletic ability, so they have the ability to use their legs. Obviously, Grayson's experience. I think the kid's got moxie. I mean, he's got some things that you want in a quarterback that you can't necessarily, say, hey, he runs this speed or he throws at this, these angles or whatever. He just does some things that really great players do. So we got to prepare for that.
Real quick, Coach, do you expect Ali to play this week?
I don't know yet. It's too early for us. We just got our guys back yesterday, so I'll get a report a little later on. I intentionally put the injury report after this press conference so you guys can't pin me into a yes or no. But no, it gives our guys, our guys have to do some morning treatments and they got class, so it gives our guys a chance to get in, and our doctors and medical staff a chance to assess them before they just tell me anything. So we usually get it around right around now. After this press conference, we'll know a little more before we hit the field tonight.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, we've had a little bit of time here after a Tuesday night game. Really enjoyed, playing on Tuesday night. It's kind of in the middle of the season. It's neat to kind of, your schedule. You basically start on a Wednesday, and Wednesday is Sunday, and so on and so forth. And then you get a little bit of a breather on the back end of the week as well. And so our players were able to kind of go home this weekend, recharge their batteries a little bit, and get away. So those things are really nice. I think that we're playing with a little bit of momentum right now. I talked to the players this morning. Momentum is really just a product of consistency, and we're playing more and more consistent. And I've said this numerous times, but the challenge of this program has always been to establish some consistency. And we've had some good moments so far this season. We've had some things that we have not nearly done well enough, and I think we're trending in the right direction, but got a really great opportunity this week against a well-known opponent in Louisiana, who I think has done great job in this league for many years. When you look at them, still very talented, do a great job of establishing the run. I think they're 8th in the country in rushing offense right now. That may be as good as they've ever been, or at least in the last few years, in terms of establishing a run game. Defensively, I think they're playing really aggressive. They did a really great job against a very good Georgia State team last week. And so they present a number of challenges, both athletically and schematically, that we're looking forward to answering the bell this weekend.
Thank you so much, Coach. Appreciate that. As a reminder to our members of the media, if you have questions, go to reactions and raise your hand. We'll start off with Sam. Sam, please go ahead.
Coach, since taking the job at South Alabama, you've been really big on a process-driven program. What have you guys kind of been able to do process-wise, had to find that next level of success on the field in maybe these past couple of weeks?
Well, I think we talk about being process-oriented just so that you can stay focused on being able to execute in practice, being more consistent in what we're doing. I think consistency is a huge piece of building that process, right? And so if you're outcome driven, in reality, right, if we really peel back the layers and say outcome versus process, if you are outcome driven, or if you say you're process driven, but you put up all these goals and boards and all, bowl games and all that stuff, you're really not preaching the things that you say you need to be in terms of being a process oriented program. There are games that we win that I didn't think we played well enough. And so I challenged the guys on that they didn't execute to the level that they are capable of. There's been games, right, that have been tighter than what we've had the last couple of weeks, that I've been really proud of some of the things that our guys are doing, because it really ultimately is about us. And you look at our season so far, right, when we have stayed focused and we have done our job, nothing special in the Oklahoma State win and the Louisiana Monroe Southern Miss win, nothing special necessarily, just doing our job at a pretty consistent level. On the flip end, nothing, not trying to take away anything from the opponents that have beat us so far this year. But if you really peel back the layers, I mean, we really have to point the finger at us, that we did not execute nearly well enough, and earn those losses. And so I think if you're a process oriented program, that's a very easy thing to communicate to your guys week in and week out.
And then, Coach, how do you game plan for a dual threat quarterback like Zeon Christ, who's been able to do it both through the air and then with his legs as well?
Well, I think we're starting to see more and more of them. I think, some years, right, you're always going to have that, right? Teams lean to whatever their quarterback can do, right? And I think Zeon, I remember him coming out of high school. I was really impressed with him. I knew he was going to be a great player. He is not just a running quarterback. I mean, he is truly a dual threat, and he's only going to get better and better with time. I know there's a couple mistakes that he would love to have back. But that's, some of that is just being a young quarterback, and you got to learn from those mistakes. And I see him growing in those things. When you look at him, his ability to extend drives for them has been huge this year with his feet. Not only him taking the ball and running it, but just extending plays to be able to throw the ball as well, has given another added piece to their offense. I think that's in large part, they're 8th in the country in rushing offense with 3 great running backs, and yet he's their 2nd leading rusher. And so those are the things that, we're going to have to do a good job of. We've adjusted a little bit schematically, even from where we were a year ago and even from where we were at the beginning of the season, because as you started looking at it, you realized, oh, this is becoming a running quarterback league. And so there's some things defensively that we've had to do to adjust, that we've adjusted really nicely. But certainly this is going to present as big of a challenge as we've had so far this season.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you. We got time for one more from Billy. Billy?
Hey, Coach. Your team is one of 3 programs in all of FBS to be 1,000 inside the red zone. What have you guys kind of changed, or what have you seen schematically that has led to, 22 of your 27 being touchdowns?
Well, great question. I mean, I think when you look at some of these wins that we've had, right, some of them have been by kind of larger margins. Oklahoma State, obviously the last two weeks as well. We haven't been explosive offensive, like 60-yard runs and 70-yard passes and all that stuff. We've really just executed really well. And so I think, a big indicator of being a great red zone offense is just knowing that you're, continuing that execution all the way until you score. And that's really what we've seen. Do windows get tighter down there? Yes, absolutely. You got to have a couple of schematic things, especially when you get inside the 10-yard line, that change the dynamics of how a team defends. And so you got to be able to answer those things. But really, we've been an offense that we're just consistent, and we're consistently moving the ball down the field and then extending that through the red zone as well. And so really, I think it's just probably a nod to the consistency that we've been operating at. We are creating some explosive plays, but it's really more about, yards after catch and some of the things that our athletes can do, because we're really not trying to throw those haymakers downfield over and over again. So really, really impressed by what Major Applewhite and our offense has been able to do, and probably as much as anything, the consistency of Carter Bradley.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you. And thank you, Coach. Do appreciate your time today.
Okay. Thanks, guys.